Hello and welcome to Gentle Ventures Training. My name is Nancy Hamm. I am the teacher and I'm also the writer and compiler of the Gentle Ventures Newborn Nanny Manual. This is a new venture for us and we're really excited about it. We have always dealt with newborn care specialists and now we are venturing into the newborn nanny field. Now, the newborn nanny is going to be someone who is with the baby probably from birth and for 18 to 24 months thereafter. So there are a lot of parents who are very leery about leaving their babies with just anybody. So we're going to start a new field that's known as the newborn nanny field. And we hope that you will profit from this immensely, and we think you will. We think that there are a lot of opportunities to do the newborn nanny job. I actually have been a newborn nanny and was a newborn nanny for about 7 years, maybe a little bit more, probably closer to 10, before I started the newborn care specialist thing. So I know that the option does exist and people are interested in it, but it's never been made a field. So we're going to give this a try and we think it's going to be highly profitable for those of you who really dedicate yourself to this. So when you would go on like an interview, you would tell the client that you specialize in 0 to, like, say 24 months, because that's what this course is going to teach you. And that you can help them with all their issues like teething, traveling, sibling issues, things like that. So you may be working in your capacity as a nanny for an older child, but then you're also working as a newborn nanny for the new baby. So exactly, well, let me first tell you a little bit about myself, because you may not be familiar with me at all. I have been a newborn care specialist for about 23 years. And I was a newborn nanny along with that, sometimes intermixed, sometimes just newborn nanny, sometimes just newborn care specialist. So I do have experience in both the fields. Now, a newborn nanny is going to be somebody that goes into the home of new parents or parents that have a new baby, not necessarily new parents, and they are going to parent or help parent the child for the first 24 months or up until the first 24 months. There's some parents that will say, okay, we have had the first year and now we feel that we can leave the baby with a lower priced, probably, nanny. Because when you specialize in a field, you're going to be able to charge more. So that will be the advantage of saying that you are a newborn nanny. Now you have to excuse me because I've got my notes onto my one side. So if you see me glance over like this, that means I'm looking at my notes because I haven't memorized this whole course. During the this course, which at this point I'm not sure how long it's going to be because we have 3 different aspects of this course. So if you are taking the newborn nanny, newborn care specialist course, then it will probably be like, I'm going to say 10 classes, and there will be classes within the classes, within the group of classes. So let's say class number 1 is going to have, now I think right now it has 4 parts, depending on which course you're taking. Some of them may have up to 6 parts in class 1. So anyway, kind of lost my train of thought. And let me just look at my notes. When I say that you're going to parent the child. What I want you to understand is that you will never be the parent. No matter how much time you spend with this child, you're never going to be the parent. There is a parent-child bond that just is never broken. We hear about teachers, nannies, parents who, oh wait, I want to totally take that back because my mind is going in two different ways. Let's just stick with the parent will always be the parent. You've heard of parents who abuse their children. And the children are always devastated if the parent is taken away. They will always choose that parent first, even though they're abused by the parent. And I'm not in any way condoning any kind of abuse, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is, basically, no matter how much time you spend with that child, no matter what you do with that child is going to still be bonded to mom and dad. So, and they may bond to you also, and they may bond to you really big time. I know instances where the nanny is with the child 24 hours a day. The parent comes in, hi, how you doing? Okay, let's go to Disneyland for a while, for a week. The nanny's coming with us, and then we'll come home and then we're back to normal. And so the kids get to spend maybe an hour a day with the kids, maybe not that much. And so the children are going to bond more with you as the nanny, but you will never be able to take the place of the parents. There's just that bond there. And a lot of parents worry about this, so this is something that we really like to emphasize in this course, is that that's not going to happen. That bond is always going to be there. They may prefer to be with you. They may have more fun with you. They may feel more love from you, but that bond is still there with the parents. With the newborn nanny, you may be in the home with the parents. They may work from home. You may be working for a couple where the mother does not work, but she has a lot of social activities. She does a lot of social things, and so she needs a nanny full time. Or they may go to work. So there's two different scenarios that you may be under. One, you may be under the watchful eye of mom. She may be a mother who is very involved with her children, but also has a lot of outside activities. So when she's home, she may be 100% involved with this child, and you may be sitting on the sidelines, and when she's gone, then you take over. So there's a lot of different scenarios that we can go with the newborn nanny. Your age, newborn nanny age, that can vary. It can go all the way from 18 to in the 60s, 70s. However, as long as you are able to keep up with a toddler. And sometimes that can be a lot of work, and that maybe not cut out for somebody that's 70 years old. But maybe a 60-year-old could handle something like that. So it's really whatever you physically can handle with a toddler up to the age of 2 years old. Now, in some cases, we have male nannies, which we call mannies, and that is perfectly acceptable. Many households are now hiring professional and experienced nannies, and they may be called governesses. You may have a governess position, which means that you're educated. You have actually gone to school. There's a couple like the English Nanny and Governess School, Northwest Nannies. These people are training professional nannies. And the nanny may also help tutor the child. Now, you're not going to be doing a lot of tutoring for a 1-year-old, but a 2-year-old, they can really start, they're picking up their words. You can do a lot of interaction with learning numbers, learning words, learning letters. 2-year-olds now are getting really, really smart. So it just really depends on what you want your position to be. You're going to provide the following duties, and I'm going to have to look at these. You're going to provide a safe environment for the child to learn and to play and to grow. You're going to protect them from harm. For instance, climbing on furniture, running in the streets, supervising them all day long. That is your job. It's not like I can sit on the couch and the kid's going to run the house. That ain't going to happen. You are going to be in charge of this person's development. Their physical and their emotional development, because you are going to be their major caregiver. You are going to prepare and serve nutritious meals for the child. Now, as we go along, we are going to talk about what is a appropriate meal for a 6-month-old. What's an appropriate meal for an 18-month-old? What's an appropriate meal for a 2-year-old? And sometimes these things can be a lot of work. You may have a parent, and I strongly suggest, even if you don't have a parent that does this, that you try to incorporate this into your caregiving, and that is very nutritious, raw, organic foods for babies. You don't want a lot of salt, you don't want sugar, you don't want to have all this garbage, preservatives, hot dogs, this kind of thing. Although they are very tasty, they're very easy, but let's start this child off right. And that's what I'm going to teach in this class also, is that we want to serve good, nutritious meals for these children. You may introduce the children or the child, and let's back this up just a little bit. A newborn nanny may have twins or triplets, maybe even quads. So you may be dealing with multiples on a daily basis. And once again, the more children you have, the more you can charge. But then the more you have to be organized, you have to know what you're doing. You cannot go in there and say, yeah, I can do this. Oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? Because that's what you're going to be when these kids are running around and you are not an organized person and you don't know what you're doing. So you're going to introduce the children to good social, creative, physical activities that will aid in their development and their education. You may also be transporting the children. So you need to have a dependable car with insurance. And there are parents that say, no, we do not want you in the car with our child, period. But most parents realize you can't keep a 2-year-old in the house all day long with just nothing but the house. They want to go to the park. They want to go to the library, have story time. They want to take swim classes. They want to visit the neighbors, go on social activities with their little friends. And I strongly suggest, in fact, it was written in my contract when I was doing newborn nanny, that I could take the child out on a daily basis. We went out all the time. When I was working in Florida, I was working for a family who actually had passes for me for Disneyland, for SeaWorld, for, I'm trying to think, the aquarium. And there was a couple of, and we were gone every day between the hours of, like, when the child got up from its morning nap until they had to go down to its afternoon nap. We were gone. We were having a good time. We were in the park. We were socializing with friends. We were at Disneyland. We were at SeaWorld. We were at the aquarium. We were at the library. We just did everything. You have to have insurance on your car. You have to have a good running car. You don't want to have to be halfway to taking the kids to the water park and your car break down and you have to call mom at work. My car just broke down. I have no way to get to the water park or back home. Could you come get me? You don't want to do that. I only had my car break down one time, and I did not call the parents. I did not. I called, and I've got to think of how I did this. I think I either called, I had AAA or something. I called AAA and had them take care of it. And the other thing you could do is call somebody you know that can come out and help you. Like I think I had a flat tire or something like that. And I was like, I don't deal with flat tires. And it's not because I don't know how to, it's just that ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen on my watch. So I had somebody come out and take care of it for me, but I did not call the parents, nor did I tell them that I had a flat tire. And I don't think that's being deceptive or anything. I think that's just taking care of business and being responsible for what you're doing. So I want you to have insurance on your car, and it has to be good insurance. I want you to have a clean driver's license, and I want you to have a dependable car. I'm sorry, excuse me a minute, grab a drink. And sorry, when you go on your interview, you need to make these things very clear. If you have a portfolio, and we'll talk about portfolios a little later and how important it is for you to have a nice portfolio. You can have your driver's license in there so that they can see it. You can have your driver's license record in there so they can see that you have a clean record. And you can say, and I drive a blah, 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 blah car, very dependable. Even if it's an older car, it doesn't matter. You can just say, I'm very much up on my maintenance of my car. It is always dependable. If it would break down, I have got AAA to call. I would not have to call you. And just, make them feel really comfortable. It's very important for your clients to feel really, really comfortable when you're interviewing with them. The more comfort they feel, first of all, the more responsible they're going to realize that you are. And then they are going to also be able to say, that's the kind of person I want watching my kid. I mean, if her car breaks down, she's going to call AAA, which is a load off my shoulders because I never have to worry about that. And she's just really responsible. I like that. Okay. You may be responsible for household duties as they pertain to the child. So that means, and one thing that I always did, parents are going to be home at 5:30. At 5:15, 5 o'clock, however long it took me, I went through the house and made sure that it was in the same condition as when I got there in the morning. Which means that if there was toys in the living room, I picked up the toys. If there's something in the child's bedroom that needed to be fixed, you're responsible for the bedroom or the play area. Well, I should say or the play area. So then, like say if the kid wet through in his diaper, I'd make sure there was a clean sheet on the bed. I'd make sure the diaper pail was emptied. I'd make sure the toys were picked up. And I would make sure order was maintained when they walk through the house. So when they're coming through the door, the kids are not totally having temper tantrums, totally screaming out of control, totally hungry, or everything was done before the parents got home. So that when they walked in the house, that they could feel like, oh, it's so good to be home. Look at my perfect children. Look at the job my nanny has done. So that is something that I feel is really, really important. You may also be responsible for household duties in general. Like, for instance, you may be the one who keeps the house up. You may be the housekeeper also. Now, if you are taking on those extra duties, that I really don't recommend it. In all my years that I did the nanny work, I never did household. No, I take it back. I did it the first job I had. And I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. Here's the reason. It takes a lot to keep a house clean and keep it done. And when you have got two responsibilities and you know that mom can see when she walks through the door that the floor has not been swept, but her child's happy, she's going to see that the floor is not swept, but she expects her child to be happy. You see what I mean? So you're there sweeping the floor, sweeping the floor, sweeping the floor, and the kid's not happy, but you got to have the floor swept so mom will know that you got your housework done, but you're ignoring the child. And to me, my main goal, my main priority is the child. It is not the house. So I kind of compensated for that a little bit. Like, they would have a housekeeper come in every week and clean the house. In between that time, I would empty the dishwasher. If there was a load of wash to be done, I would do that. So I kind of did kind of in the middle of the road, but I never cleaned toilets, mopped the floor, did the dusting. I never did that. Now, you may want to do that, and that is absolutely fine. You have time during the day when the child sleeps and naps to get these things done. I personally would charge more if I was being a housekeeper and a nanny than if I was just being a nanny. But you're going to find people that are going to charge the same thing for both of those. And that makes the competition really hard, because you're going to find somebody that says, oh, I can do all of those things for only $15 an hour. And you're like, oh, I charge $15 just to watch your child. But then you can also say to them, but the time that I'm spending with your child is good quality time. We're working on development. I'm not just putting the child in the middle of the room and saying, have fun, I'm going to be watching TV and reading my book. You're going to be spending quality time with that child, and you're going to be helping that child in their development. So a lot of it really depends on what the parents want for their child also. You're also going to maintain really good communication with the parents. You need to be informing them what's going on during the day, what the child is learning, what they said, the cute things they did, any kind of conflicts that may come up. For instance, let's just say that, I'm trying to pull something. Let's just say that the child is starting temper tantrums. And that would be, right around the 2-year age bracket. You would say to the parents, okay, Johnny really went out of control today. He threw himself on the floor and started screaming because I told him to put his teddy bear in the toy box. And here's what I did about that. Is that okay with you? Is that how you want me to handle a temper tantrum? What I generally did or do would be to say to the parents, in the past, I have found that if you ignore a temper tantrum, they'll find it's not doing them any good, and so they'll quit. Or you might say, or I have found that if I put them in timeout every time they have a temper tantrum, that seems to have the temper tantrum cease. As soon as they start a temper tantrum, you just say, you need to go sit on your little stool for a while. And generally that will snap them out of that temper tantrum. Or you can feed into the temper tantrum. Oh, what's wrong? Oh, let me help you. Blah, 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 blah. Honestly, yes, you may be able to tell, that would not be my solution to how to deal with a temper tantrum. But maybe that's what the parents want you to do. Just remember, when you're there, you can use your own techniques, but they better be aligning with what the parent wants, or on the weekends, everything's going to go down the chute really fast, because you're going to be using one type of discipline and they're going to be using another type of discipline. And what happens is that that child learns really fast who they're with and what they can do and what they can get by with. So I found that out really, really soon in my career, is that you've got to be on the same page with the parents. And so what I found happening was mom would say, well, you do whatever you need to during the day and I'll just do what I want to it when I get home. Okay, so here's what happens. I've got this perfect little child. I mean, easy to take care of, listens to me. If they don't listen to me, they end up sitting on their little seat or their little chair for their little timeout or whatever. And they know that. They know. Miss Nancy said no. And that doesn't mean she says no 3 times. It means she says no once. And if I do it, then I have to pay the consequences. But as soon as mom walks through the door, this is a totally different child. It's like, oh my goodness. The first time that happened to me, I just stood there. I was so amazed that this child that is such a darling during the day could be such a brat as soon as mom walked through the door. And it was like going from day to night. It was just a switch, just like that. It just happened so fast. And I was just like, buh. And I found myself getting ready to tell this child, to discipline this child, tell him to go sit in your chair in the corner. And I realized, whoa, wait a minute. You're no longer in charge. Now mom's home. If this is how she wants him to act, that's her total business. And it wasn't until years later, I stayed friends with these people, and years later that I said to them, did you know that this is what this child does? And they were like, we never had a clue. We never had a clue that he could be so good for somebody, because he was always such a handful for us. And my next family, I actually told them, I said, your child is acting one way with me and one way with you. If you want your child to act the same way, we need to be really consistent. And I said, honestly, if your child acts like they do with you, with me, I'd walk out that door. I says, I couldn't deal with it. I can't deal with that kind of an attitude on a child. And they were like, you mean he doesn't act like that with you? And I'm like, never. And so they, in turn, changed the way that they were going to take care of him. And it just turned this child totally around. And so consistency is really, really important. That's why I say communication is so important. So you get to tell the parents what you want to tell them, but I would strongly suggest that you tell them what's going on so that they know. Some parents don't care. Honestly, you're going to have parents that are like, oh, okay, whatever, do whatever you want to do when you're with them, and we'll do whatever we want to do when we're with them. And if they act out of line, that's up to them, whatever. You're going to find attitudes in parents that are going to amaze you. You're going to find parents that are really concerned, involved, and totally devoted to their children. And you're going to find parents that are like, if they're eating, and if they're sleeping, and if they're pooping, they're fine. And it's like, wow, really? So anyway, you get to experience probably both kinds of parents. Let's talk about compensation, because it's going to vary from state to state. We find like in places like California, East Coast, West Coast. West Coast is a little higher, but East Coast in most places like New York, Atlanta, they're going to be pretty much the same as West Coast. West Coast is going to be a little bit higher. But then when you get into the middle states, oh my goodness. Let's say like places like Iowa, Illinois, North Dakota, South Dakota, all those little northern states, they're cheap. You probably aren't going to, and you have to realize that that's not where, in Chicago you're going to be okay. But you're going to have to realize that, I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cedar Rapids, Iowa doesn't have any large commerce that can support paying a nanny or a newborn care specialist a lot. And so the pay level is going to be a little bit less. But I would say that with a single baby, newborn nanny, you should be able to make anywhere from 18 to 22 an hour. In California, Chicago, New York, some of the big cities across the nation, Washington, D.C., marvelous money, you're going to be able to make probably 25 an hour for a single baby. Now, remember, when you're working with multiples, your rate does continue up. So you might want to add a couple dollars an hour for each child. And if you're organized and you know what you're doing, it's not that big of a deal. In fact, as they get older, they entertain each other, so it takes a lot of the load off of you. There's a lot, there's more work with laundry and things like that. But generally, if you know what you're doing, you're really an organized person, you're going to figure that out really fast. Let's see here. I've got to move my page down a little bit so we can go on here. Let's talk about the work schedule. Well, it can actually be of your choosing. Many families are looking for live-in help. Now, you may or may not want to do that. Live-in help means that you will live on the premises and you're pretty much going to be available whenever they want you. Now, as a live-in helper, you can still have a contract that says you may not disturb me between 9 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. Or you can be a live-in worker that says, wake me anytime. But then you're compensated for that. Let's just say that your regular hours of duty are from 7 to 5. Okay? But if mom and dad want you, say for the evening, and they're going to go out, then they pay you time and a half. Or if they wake you in the middle of the night and say, Johnny has an earache, you're going to have to stay up with him, you get time and a half. You got to put things in your contract as you want them. Don't take for granted or don't take a verbal commitment for payment. Because I have seen so many times when they're like, we didn't say that. Why would we say that? We would never say that. And you're already ensconced in the job. You love your job. And now all of a sudden they're pulling this crap on you. And you're like, well, do I want to stay? I really like this job. Will I go ahead and do this work with straight time pay? Is it worth it? And see, that makes it really hard because you're already getting attached to this child. And now they're throwing these loopholes in. And I've even had people that have, you work from year to year on a contract. And for the first year, they give you, you give time and a half for this and time and a half for that. And the second your contract comes along, you're really liking your job, you're renewing your contract, and they say, well, instead of paying you 20 an hour, we're going to drop it down to 15, but we'll pay you time and a half for any overtime you get. But now that drops your paycheck way down, first of all, and you may or you may not get time and a half. It just depends on how they're feeling or what they're doing or if they're going to take their child with them. And we've also had places where they will go ahead and say, okay, we'll keep you at your regular rate, say $20 an hour, but we're not paying time and a half, and that will be the second year contract. No time and a half. And it's like, well, then you've got to make a decision. You have to make that decision. Am I going to stay with this job, not making time and a half because I do love this job, or am I going to move on? And sometimes there's negotiating, sometimes there's not. Sometimes the parents are like, you don't like it? See ya. This is the way it's going to be. And I've had many girls come crying to me that that's what's happened. So what I would do in that case would be that, and this is really hard because you can make a contract for the first 24 months, but then that's an ironclad contract. So then let's just say that there's something in the contract that you really are not happy with and you really would like to change. Like maybe you gave them Christmas Day off, but you had to work Christmas Eve. And then you found a boyfriend who celebrated Christmas Eve, but not Christmas Day. So you're thinking, well, I'd really like to change that, but you can't change it. But you can't change it. You got to stick with that because that's in the contract. Well, you could talk to them and see if they're okay with it to be changed, but many times they look at you and say, nope, it's in the contract. That's what we want. We celebrate on Christmas Eve, and we want you here on Christmas or Christmas Day, and we want you here on Christmas Eve. And so that when you write a contract, you've got to make sure that that's something that you're going to be okay with for the next couple of years if you're going to make a 2-year contract. Anyway, that was kind of a long way around saying that about live-in help, I guess. I don't know what ever got me started on that. But also with live-in help, you have to be ready to give up your social life because you may be working more. Your hours may be from 7 till midnight, 7 a.m. till midnight, maybe your hours. So it really, live and help is an interesting concept. You probably are not going to get as much when you live in because they're going to take off for room and board too. So you have to take a lot of things into consideration when you're going to do that. Now, if you are a live out nanny, you probably will work like 5 days a week, maybe 10 or 12-hour days. And you can, if you want to, charge time and a half. I never did. I always did a flat fee for, in fact, I was salaried. Well, that's not quite the way to say it either. I was compensated as I worked a 50-hour week. If I worked a 40-hour week, I still got 50 hours worth of pay. If I worked 55 hours a week, I got 50 hours a week plus 5 hours extra pay. So in the contract that I write for a nanny, you can add hours onto the week with pay, but you can never delete hours. So let's just say that they decide, grandma's coming into town, and grandma wants to spend a day with the kids. She doesn't want you around. So she says, Wednesday night, mom says to you, oh, Nance, on Thursday, grandma's coming in, so you don't have to show up for work. You're like, yeah, because in your contract, you still get paid for Thursday as if you are there. That's great. I have had up to 3 weeks of vacation time that was not my vacation time paid in full because the clients decided that they were going to take vacation. And it was not when I had my vacation scheduled. I always try to schedule my vacation when they schedule theirs. But a couple of times I've had things like family reunions or whatever that I needed to go to, and they decided to take their vacation at a different time. So I got their vacation, plus I got my vacation, and it was all paid for. So be very careful with your contract. Know what you're doing when you're going on a job, and always work with the contract. Always, always. You may only want to work part-time. You may want to be a nanny that relieves parents for date night. You might want to be a nanny that picks kids up from school. Now, these are things that are a nanny, not a newborn nanny. You may want to be a fill-in newborn nanny. You may just like to do temporary work for people, like go into a home while the other newborn nannies are on vacation, and just take a week or 2 weeks at a time and then not work. Maybe you don't need to work, and this is just kind of like fun for you, or maybe fun for you isn't the way, but maybe you just need a little bit of fill-in money once in a while so that you decide to do part-time work. All of that's acceptable. You may be a newborn nanny who only works for the first 6 months instead of the first 2 years, or the first 3 months instead of the first 2 years. Part of this course, you can also do, you can also be a newborn care specialist / newborn nanny. Now that is another part of the course that I offer, because we break it down into 3 different parts. The newborn care specialist course, that's one course. The newborn nanny, that's one course. Then the newborn care specialist, newborn nanny is the other course. So when you get done with that, you will have all the specifications to be a newborn care specialist, which will include preemies, breastfeeding, sleep training, and there might be something, I think there's something else, and I'm not thinking of it right off the top of my head. I know there's something else. And I can't think what it is right now. But you'll have all that training also mixed in, kangaroo care. You'll have that training also mixed in with your newborn nanny care. So you can go from being a professional newborn care specialist into a professional newborn nanny. So we do offer all of those different things. Let's talk a little bit about marketing, because marketing is so important. the best marketing that you can do for yourself is going to be referrals and references. That's going to get you the most, the best jobs, the best jobs. You're not going cold turkey. You're going because somebody has said, Nancy is a great newborn nanny. You got to get her. She knows how to get the babies on a schedule. She knows what foods to feed these babies. She knows what happens. She knows babies. She knows babies. And that's what you want to have as your slogan. I know babies. Well, don't use that one because that's mine. No, I really don't care. But you just have to, be someone that stands out in a crowd, is knowing more and being better. So that's what marketing is all about. Just putting yourself out there and showing that you're better than the last person. Nannies are in really high demand. Really good nannies are priceless. And once a family gets a hold of a good nanny, they're not going to let them go. And every once in a while, somebody will send me a thing. We had to let our nanny go because the kids just are in school now. We don't need her anymore, and we just hate to let her go. A funny story. I have a relative who has been with the same family for 18 years. Now, let me tell you something. Kids are in college. The last one is a senior in high school. And they won't let her go. They're like, we love her. We'll pay her until she dies. We just want her to stay with us. So now she's morphed over more into doing, what do you call it? House manager. She's more of a house manager now, and she does things for the mom and for the dad, and she goes to all the kids' social activities because the parents don't, and like if the kids go to Disneyland for a day, no, they're not kids now. She did this when they were all in high school or whatever. But if they went to Disneyland for the weekend, she'd just go with them and she'd play with them. You know, she was just there with them. But they just love her and they wouldn't let her go. And probably about a year or 2 years ago, she finally gave in her notice. I'm quitting. I am quitting. Well, they made it so good for her, she couldn't quit. They offered her more money. They gave her a better position. They'll do anything to keep her. That is a good nanny. If she ever became available, I would have people clamoring for her. If they could pay her rate, I don't know, because now that she's been with these people for so long and they keep upping her rate, she's used to making really good money. So, but she is totally excellent. So that's the kind of person that you want to be. That's the kind of name that you want out there. They can't do without you. They've got to have you because you're so good at what you do. The kids adore you. To them, you're their second mom. Well, okay, let's start with what you can do to get your name out there. You sign up with agencies. There's so many nanny agencies. Sign up with them. Get your application, interview. Let them know what you do. Let them know how much you charge. Let them know how good you are. Show them your references. Show them, and if you don't have any references, if you're just getting started, let them know that you've taken this course. Let them know that you are really working at becoming the best you can be. Networking. Get into some nanny groups. Get your name out there. Let them know. Nannies know families that are looking for caregivers. So let other nannies know what you're doing, what you're planning on doing, how available you are, things like that. As we talked about before, referrals are the best way to get jobs. Totally the best. Churches and community organizations, a lot of times they have newsletters. You can post online, care.com, Craigslist, what is that? Sitter City. There's a lot of different places that you can post online that you're looking for work. So I would do that. Just be really, really careful with these places. Some of them, not the places specifically, but the people who are looking for people. Just interview very, very carefully. Don't ever go on an interview with somebody that you don't know absolutely without having your phone on you. You keep it vibrate in your pocket or whatever, but have your phone on you. Take every precaution that you can. If you drive up to the house and it's a shack and it's in a bad part of town and you're like, this isn't what I want, turn around and drive away. Turn around and drive away. Listen to your gut. Do what your gut tells you. Use business cards. Use magnets on your car that says you're a nanny and you're available. Use a website. If you don't have a website, even a one-page website, put your resume, your information on the website. Don't put anything personal on as far as your client's information. You can say Mary and John, but don't say Mary and John Smith. Don't give out their phone numbers. Don't give out their addresses. Don't give out the names of the children. You can say 1 boy, 2 girls, but you don't give out anything, any kind of personal information when you are posting on a website. You can tell on your website what you do, how good you are at what you do. You can put your rates on there. You can do anything like that, but just don't put personal information on there. Teach a parenting group. Oh my goodness. Go and teach a parenting group. Teach parents how to potty train. Teach parents how to put on a diaper. I mean, get down to the really basic things. I taught a diapering class once, and I didn't think I'd have anybody come because who doesn't know how to put on a diaper? But let me tell you something. The class was full, and they had no clue how to put on a diaper. It really, and you have to have a good sense of humor when you do things like this because these people are serious. They don't know how to put a diaper on. They don't know what end it fits on, basically. They don't know what side it's supposed to be touching the baby and what side it's not. They don't know when the tabs go in the front or the back. It's like, are you kidding me? And then they'd get the diaper on. It would be so loose it'd fall off as soon as they held the doll up. And it would be like, yeah, we need to tighten that up just a little bit. And, you know, this is stuff that they're going to learn before they leave the hospital with this baby. But I have had many parents that come home and it's like, you really need to put the diaper on tighter. See the poop coming out the legs? That's not a good sign. So teach a class. Teach a class on anything that has to do with a child up to the age of 2. Or if you're just a nanny, teach a class on anything that has to do with children's activities, proper foods for children, how to cook a meal, how to cook a good organic meal. Lots of things you can teach. And as the people come in, as they're signing up for your class, you're giving them your information. Here's what I do. If you know anybody who's looking for a nanny or a newborn nanny, please let me know. Another way that you can get your word out is through pediatricians and well baby clinics. Especially when you have a client who's happy with your work, have them mention to your pediatrician, Nancy has helped me through this. If it wasn't for Nancy Hamm, and you say, you know, have them say the name, and she is available to help anybody. She'll even go on a consultation. You don't even have to hire her on a regular weekly basis. Call her for a consultation. She'll come out to your house. She'll show you how to take care of your baby. She'll walk you through the steps. And pediatricians love to have people that they can refer out as long as they know that they're doing a really good job and will support them. You can do nursery work in your neighborhood, like neighborhood church. Work in a preschool care center or something where you're working with babies. That takes a lot of patience. Use Facebook and use Twitter to advertise what you do. Now, here is a hint. Do not leave your Facebook open to all. Keep it private. Friends are fine, or friends of friends are even kind of a little bit fishy. Here's why. I cannot tell you how many nannies, newborn care specialists, lose positions that they were sure that they were going to get because people went and looked at their Facebook page and saw pictures of them dancing on the bar, holding a drink, saying something that was inappropriate. They want you to be pure. They want you to be Nanny Poppins. They do not want to think of you in the terms of going out and getting drunk on Friday night. They don't want to think of you as someone who has sex. They want to think of you as little miss, here I am, never done a wrong thing in my life. So what I do, first of all, I could open mine wide up because there's nothing on my Facebook page that would keep me from getting any kind of job anywhere. But I basically do not friend clients. I don't. And I mean, I think I've got one client on my page that I've friended. One. And only because we really hit it off and she knew what I was like. And so, and there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing on my page that would ever, she would look at that and say, oh my goodness, what was I thinking when I hired her? Nothing. But be so very careful. Your Facebook and Twitter account can run your career into the ground. Now, if you want to do things like that, say things like that, show your picture dancing naked on the bar or whatever, that's great. Make it private. Make it a private page. I've got a private page for Gentle Ventures, and it is for newborn care specialists, newborn nannies only. No clients, no agencies, no nannies, nannies that are taking care of kids up to 18. You have to participate. If you don't participate, I delete you. It is like the most amazing page. Nothing negative. If people start fighting, I just jump right in and say, that's enough. We're closing this discussion down. But it's the most positive, wonderful, informative, educational page I have ever been on. I'm so proud of this page. But it's private. So I'm very careful who is in there and who is not in there. The other thing that you could possibly do, and this is a great resource, is there's a multiples group called Mothers of Multiples. And this is only if you want to work with multiples, but they have a newsletter and you can advertise in their newsletter. You can talk to their group in your town. They have guest speakers and things like that. You can talk to them. You can post your, and I think like for a year to post like your business card in the newsletter is like $25. Now it may have gone up. I used to advertise in there all the time now. I don't know if I'm in there right now because I'm just thinking about that and I don't remember putting a new ad in for the year. So I will have to go back and see what they've got. But that's a really good point. I should see if I'm still in there. But anyway, those are all ways that you can advertise and get your name out there. So we want you to be able to, I'm trying to see if I think we're done with this part, but I want just to make sure that I've covered everything because I hate to forget anything. So this is part one of the course. Now, and I have to tell you, yeah, that was the end of the introduction. There, as you go through this course, I'm going to be using the phrase nanny, newborn care specialist interchangeably. So if you hear newborn care specialist, I'm still referring to the newborn nanny. So don't worry about that. The other thing that I just want to bring up right now is that if you don't have the manual, you probably would like to order the manual because there's so much information that we're going to be giving out. And to follow along in the manual is much easier than trying to take notes on all this and then go back and decipher your notes. When you take this course, you have up to a year to complete it. If you don't complete it during that year, then you need to rebuy it, retake it. What else? You get a certificate at the end. This is a completion certificate. This does not certify you as a newborn nanny. It just certifies that you have taken the course. Now, please be aware that there are places that are advertising that they will certify you as a newborn care specialist or a newborn nanny when you're done with their course. They can't do that. It has to be an outside entity who does the testing, who does the credentials that makes you a certified newborn care specialist or a certified newborn nanny. So all we can do is give you a certificate that says you have completed this course. I hope you've enjoyed the part 1 of class 1, and there are more parts to class 1. So we will be posting this part on the internet, probably for free, so that people can see what the first class is like for the newborn nanny. And I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed giving this first part, and I will see you in part 2. And I thank you very, very much. Have a good day.